Hey, what up, guys? I want to give you guys another update. This one's going to be a little bit more thorough. I have a couple talking points here, so I'm going to get right into it. From the very beginning of this journey, I wanted to be vulnerable and authentic about my experience in self empowerment. That is to say, with the understanding of law, of government, the structure of how we can empower ourselves, the police state, all of these other different alternative areas of learning. And you guys have seen me correct my status through the 928 through the 928 process. I've shared and taught that on this channel. You guys have heard me talk about the discharging of the debt, the 1099s with Chris Hauser, the Sestak Hill v. Trust, my exploration into that. There's a couple other things like a banking thing. But for me, the phrase that rings the truest right now is the lot. The easier it comes, the easier it goes. Right? Easy come, easy go. In my line of work, I have never chosen automatically the easy way out. I know that's a part of the survival mechanism. Animals will generally do the least amount to get to just to survive, right? But in my line of work, I never choose the easy route out. As a professional athlete, I know that it is better to go with the hard things first and put the work up front. Make sure it's hard, so that way, when it becomes hard, uh, you're already prepared. And then if it's not as hard, then you can coast a little bit. On my path, unfortunately, what I have found to be true is uh, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's been my experience, guys, and you guys have seen that here. There's been a lot of dead ends. Not that it wasn't great for the experience, not that it wasn't informational and informative, and not that I haven't learned so much about myself and about the structure and the system. It's all been great. Now, I know I'm coming off in a defeated attitude and mentality. I don't want you guys to take it that way at all, because I'm not. And I hope that you guys stay to the end of this video to see where I'm actually going with this. I feel right now that I'm at a stage in which I'm looking at another mountain, knowing that I'm going to have to will myself to get up it. And so I'm at the stage right now where I'm taking that deep breath in, and as I prepare to take my first step. So any kind of apathy or kind of like sighful thoughts that I might be presenting to you, it's because I'm let's go. So for those of you who are interested, and I hope that you would be interested if you're following me on this channel, here's what I'm going to be doing with my traffic ticket. And actually, before I go into that, there is one thing I wanted to share. A couple of things that I have done in the past and that I thought about doing, but I just never had enough information to do it, or I just was never comfortable enough to do it. The first thing I did was with my traffic ticket, my citation, I attempted to pay the taxes on the case. I've heard many people talk about paying the taxes on the case. And it was really never clear for me where that information came from, all these sources and, pay the tax on the case. And because you cannot argue the public debt is what I would hear. And I'm not saying that this is true or not true. I'm sure there are many people who have done this and gotten away with it and maybe got their case dismissed. It was never in the cards for me, and I'm sure this would have been an incredibly easy way to discharge and get rid of my case, but I never saw it to fruition, and so I can't say. So there were many reasons why people might want to take this path, and why a person might teach this path, or people might teach this path, and the whole path. I can't give all the details because I never really knew all the details. But you get a certified copy of the case or the citation. You would get it time stamped, and then you'll put a 2 cent stamp on it, and then they would say that you cannot argue with the public debt, which is true, right? You can't argue with the public debt, meaning that when it comes to the public debt, someone's got to pay up, and if it's not you, the living, breathing, natural man or woman, then it's going to come out of your statutory trust. And these corporations, they want to tap into your trust. That's what they want to do so that they can make money. And again, that statutory trust is your all capital letter name, the Seste QV trust, and that's that. Um, but that's the thing about the mythology, guys. That's the thing about some people call it patriot mythology. I don't. It is what it is, right? But the thing about mythology is you don't know whether it's true or not, right? Some people say it works, some people don't say it doesn't work. Some people have experience with it, some people don't have experience with it. It might sound and ring true in theory, patriot theory, but in practice, maybe it doesn't work out. Maybe it does. But either way, I felt like I was suspended in like this ambiguous mythological space of conspiratorial theories and elements, okay? And I just didn't like it, to be honest. Um, so the next thing I wanted to do, which was getting me closer to what I'm going to be doing now, I wanted to challenge jurisdiction and venue, which sounded good at the time and made kind of sense at the time, and again, I'm sure it works. This has worked for somebody at some point in time, in some reality, in some dimension, somewhere, 100%. But it was something that I wasn't comfortable with because I, it didn't make sense to me, to be honest. Um, in the end, it didn't make sense to me. And then when I started looking at the law and what it means to challenge venue versus what it means to challenge jurisdiction, I was like, it kind of makes sense, but like, there's always some additional element or something that has to be done with it. I'm just like, well, if I'm gonna do all of this, like, why not just actually learn the law? Why not actually just learn what it says and go through the procedure? Why not? And that is, the hard way, as we've been kind of talking about right now. So someone reached out to me, guys, and they've communicated very clear with me. They have experience. They're teaching without presumption. They're teaching without assumption. I can ask all the questions I want to and not feel like I'm questioning their authority or questioning their identity as a person. They're not trying to make money off of me. They're not trying to do any of these types of things. They're showing me the procedures and the laws, and they're helping me take back my power by sharing with me, hey, here's what it looks like. Here's what it feels like. I've done this. I've been in there. I've been in the courtroom. And they're not asking me to trust them. They're not like, just trust me, bro. I'm helping other people. It's not like that at all. I feel that I'm being empowered by this kind of mentorship. And so I'm really experiencing that kind of true mentorship for the first time. And I think it's really, really cool. But not only that, the information that I feel is being shared with me is information that I've come to on my own. And so it kind of feels like there's like this double witness of, okay, like I think this is the path I'm supposed to go down. There's many people saying, well, you don't have to do that. Well, don't go into their course. Well, don't do that. Well, don't do that. Well, maybe you don't want to go do that. And maybe it's, I don't think it's right, wrong, or indifferent. It's not good, bad, or anything else. It's just the experience. And so I think that my experience is leading me towards learning how to litigate in court, 100%. I'm a competitive person. I like to win. I like to think. I like to understand what's going on. But I also like to know what's going to happen. I don't like unknowns. So to me, there's a process in which everyone's got to follow the rules. And if they don't follow the rules of procedure, then they get called out for it. So if I know the rules and they know the rules and I know they know the rules and they know that I know the rules, then they're going to stick to the rules and play the game. And so now I know where I can get them. And that's, again, as being an athlete, I know all about that. That makes sense to me. So My journey is well, I guess I would say I would have three goals. I'm going to explain that in detail in a few minutes. Please stick with me. My journey is leading me to learn how to fight, to learn the law and how to fight back using their rules. And this is the mountain that I was talking about, guys. The hardest part about this is the fact that it is a game of chess. It is a simple game to learn, but the better the player, the harder it is to defeat them, right? So I heard someone say recently on a TikTok that courts were a place for kings. And now it makes sense why people don't want to go to court or can't go to court because um, this rings true to me. In my opinion, when you think about a king or like historically a king, and I'm talking a true king in the essence of like the essence of the word, a true king or a sovereign knows himself and is poised as the king. And even in the Bible, there are certain rules for the king of Israel, including, and not that any of the kings really followed this, not at least of the Old Testament. Uh, Not that many kings followed this, but that they should be chosen among the people, and there's much to say about that. That they should not multiply horses for themselves. That they should not multiply wives for themselves. That they should not multiply gold and silver for themselves, and that they would make a copy of the law for themselves and read it regularly. So and again, this portion, I'm sorry if this sounds like a sermon, but it's where my heart is telling me to go when I was writing this out. There are many people who want to declare themselves sovereign as if they know what that is. And they believe that they believe a sovereign to be someone who is powerful and untouchable, that they can do what they want, say what they want, treat people as they want to. And they give no credence to their demeanor or the constitution of their own consciousness, right? And this is not a sovereign. And all who act in such a way will meet their demise eventually, one way or other. And I don't care if you're getting away with it. If you're driving down the road and you treat police officers like crap and you're cussing them out and calling them names and saying I'm this and that, and even if you know your stuff, but you're dishonoring the person in your knowledge and in your high-mindedness, don't they say a haughty spirit comes before destruction, right? Or a haughty spirit before the fall. Pride comes before the fall. A haughty spirit comes before destruction. Something along those lines. So I bring this up to say that, like, if you say you're a king, to say you're king is one thing. Claiming sovereignty as a birthright is a well-to-do and an admirable feature, and many people want to do that. It's freaking easy to do. But the humility to live as a king, particularly a servant king, and this is how Christ lived, a servant king. He said, I didn't come to be served, but to serve, right? Now, Christ is in us, Christ consciousness, Jesus, whatever you want to call it, the universe, universal consciousness, that thing lives within you, then we recognize ourselves to be servant kings. Again, the humility, do people have the humility to live as a king under the guidance of the universal laws and the will of the Creator? That is a completely whole different thing. To say that you are a king and to claim it and to actually live as a king under the universal laws and under the guidance of the Spirit or the Creator, that's a completely different thing. So here's what I'm preparing to do. I have 4 charges against me in the state of Tennessee. I need to find the essential elements of each charge, these charges. Why? Because the prosecutor, and I'm sharing you guys what I'm learning. I'm learning this from my mentor, but I'm also learning this from How to Win in Court Without a Lawyer, and several other sources. The prosecutor has to allege and prove beyond and to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt, with admissible evidence, that I have committed these crimes. These charges that are against me. So finding out the essential elements. Each charge, there are essential elements that have to be, all elements have to be met in order for that to be a crime. Finding out the essential elements prepares me to know what they have to allege and prove. That they have to allege and prove. They have the burden of proof. And if every element of every allegation that they have against me is not proven, then it can't be admitted. And if the prosecutor fails to find these things to be true, then there is no conviction. Okay, so again, so me knowing the elements and knowing what they have to prove prepares me to challenge them when they make presumptions about you did this or you did this. Okay. Um, more on that later. The second thing I want to do is I'm going to send in a notice of request for discovery. This is a kind of a bigger portion. If you're not interested in learning the details of it, you can skip to the end. I don't know what's going to be at the end, but you can skip to the end and kind of finish up the video. But I'm going to send in a notice of request for discovery. I'm going to trial, people, or I'm not going to trial, but I'm going to defend this in court. I'm going to defend myself in court. Okay. Now, what is discovery? Discovery is the pre-trial process in which both parties in a lawsuit gather information from each other and from third parties. This process is intended to allow both parties to fully understand the facts and evidence in the case, and it helps them prepare for trial. There are several different types of discovery, including written discovery, such as interrogatories, and requests for production, which is what I'm trying to do. There are depositions and requests for admissions. The discovery process is governed by rules set forth by the court and can be used to obtain a wide range of information, including documents, witness statements, and expert reports. The goal of discovery is to promote fairness, efficiency, and economy in the legal process. You see, so pursuant to the rule of this court, I'm going to give you guys an example of what a discovery might sound like. Pursuant to the rules of this court, the plaintiff's name hereby requires that the defendant's name provide the following discovery: all documents and records related to the incident that is the subject of this lawsuit, including but not limited to photographs, video recordings, witness statements, and medical records. Any and all documents and records related to any prior incidents involving the defendant that are similar to the incident at issue in this case. A list of all witnesses whom the defendant expects to call at trial. Any and all expert reports that the defendant intends to rely on. And this is, of course, for the plaintiff to the defendant, but the defendant can also send discovery to them. Names and addresses of any other parties who may have information relevant to the case. And I also want to give you guys some too. Some of the ones straight on mine. Any evidence, facts, not arguments, allegations, opinions, a valid cause of action, legal injury, loss, or harm in criminal agency has been presented to the court. That has been presented to the court. The names of any witnesses with personal firsthand knowledge the prosecution relies on to support any element of the alleged crime or cause of action against the alleged defendant. All preliminary facts for which the above requested facts are dependent upon. So I'm making them do work and basically getting all their information before. Again, this is what I was talking about. This is kind of like, oh man, it's not as sexy. It's not as fun, it's not as clear. It's not as like it's stuff that you have to dig for and work to understand. That's what it is. So lastly, I need to find the criminal practice and procedure for the state of Tennessee. If I can find, there is a criminal practice and procedure. There's also civil practice and procedure. And basically this is just a textbook that basically walks you through all the different parts of before the trial and everything, so that you know exactly how to do it. And lawyers have them and have access to them, but I think I can find it at a library, which is what I'm hoping to do. And if not, I think maybe I'll hope to get it online somewhere. I do have one for California, thanks to my mentor, but I'm going to need it for Tennessee. So I know this was a long one, guys, and I hope that you guys have, I hope I gave you enough to answer some questions and give you guys a solid update. With that being said, I think I'm about done. Much love to you. I'm going to keep you guys updated on this process. Again, I know that it's not pretty. I know that it's not sexy. I know that it's not easy to do. But I think that this is I think that this is a way that we can take our power back too, guys. And I think that that's How to Win in Court Without a Lawyer, Dr. Graves. I think that that's what his mission is, and that's what he's trying to do. And so I want to let you guys know that there is, that we're moving forward. So much love to you. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that correction status isn't, I'm not saying anything like that, that it's not important, that it's not imperative or whatever. I have my documents all filled out for my passport. I have my explanatory statement. Also, I have my birth certificate here, and so I have all these things ready. And I also have a meeting on I think on the 24th or something to go up to the post office and drop this off. So, and again, I'm doing that paperwork with destinationfreedom.org. So, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, let me know in the comments. If you guys, if you guys want to hear about the essential elements and how I'm doing with them, I'm gonna give you guys updates also on that. But so far, so good. Much love to you. I hope you guys got something out of this, and we'll see you on the next video.